actually 9:36 a.m. for me. What time is it for you? Wow. Okay, so you guys are 3 hours ahead. And often I will be conferencing with schools whose time's like 12 or 11 when it's 9 or 8 here, so that's always fun. Now today we're going to be learning about personal narrative 1. And you might be wondering why a 12-year-old is teaching you today. Well, my name is Adora, and at the age of 7, I published my first book called Flying Fingers, Master the Tools of Learning Through the Joy of Writing. And more recently, I published a second book called Dancing Fingers. And Dancing Fingers is a book of poetry that I co-authored with my older sister, Adriana. So as you can tell, I really love to write. And personal narrative is basically writing about yourself. So that's always fun. Now, who would like to tell me what is a narrative? So just a narrative, not personal narrative, just a narrative. And could the teacher please call on the students? Raise your hands. Not quite. A narrative is actually a story. So anytime you read a book, or if you read a book this week, you read a narrative, you read a story. So who would like to tell me a narrative they have read this week? Diary of a Wimpy Kid, yes, that would be a narrative. So narratives, we read them every day, since they're stories, and we probably read stories every day. And so The Lord of the Rings is a narrative, and so is your favorite cartoon. What are some other examples of narratives? Who would like to give me some other examples of narratives?
Is that a book? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Story, okay. Say nice hug. SpongeBob.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob, is that a book? Okay, well yes. Actually, now that I think of it, the stories that you hear, let's say on TV and cartoons, those would be narratives as well. They tell a story. Who else would like to give me an example of narrative?
Alexis, what's one of the narratives that you've read?
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Wait, what is that?
The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Okay, great. Yeah, my sister's a big fan of those. Who else would like to give me another example of narrative?
Snack Green. Is that a narrative? That's nonfiction, I thought.
Yes, now the thing is, there are different types of narrative. There's fictional narrative and there's personal narrative. And fictional narrative is always like a story that someone's made up. Yeah, so SpongeBob, Sister of the Traveling Pants, these are all great examples of narratives. Now, stories from your own life are narratives too. It doesn't all have to be about SpongeBob or someone else made up. Narratives can come from your own life. And a story from your own life is called a personal narrative. So today we're going to be learning how to choose a good personal narrative and make it interesting. Let's start off with this question. What kinds of stories do you like? Any ideas? What kinds of stories do you like?
Fantasy.
Fantasy, right? Who else would like to tell me what kind of story they like?
Dora. Non-fiction stories. Okay.
Non-fiction, right? Who else?
Mystery.
Is that a story?
Oh.
Yeah. What kind of stories, Laura? Biographies.
Biographies are also non-fiction, so we can have them under non-fiction. Who would like to tell me what kind of story has mystery or historical fiction or what kind of fictional story do you like?
Davion.
Goosebumps.
What genre?
fantasy, we have nonfiction, we have mystery, and so these are all interesting types of stories. Now, the thing that most stories have in common is something called suspense. And stories are more exciting when they are suspenseful, when you're not sure how they're going to turn out. So can you imagine if a mystery just went like, well, this huge amount of money has been stolen from the bank, and so has to find out who stole it, and they find out who stole it, the person gets put in prison, but then escapes, and they have to find the person again, which they do, and then the person's put in prison for good, and the person gets a ticker tape parade when they come back home. That would be boring, right? Yeah, that would be pretty boring. But then authors drag that out over 100, 200, 300, even 400-page book and make it suspenseful when you're not sure how things are going to turn out. So when you start reading a book, do you know what's going to happen to all the characters? No, probably not. So if you know what's going to happen to all the characters, the author hasn't done a good job with suspense. And suspense is what keeps you reading, because you're not sure what's going to happen, but you want to know. So can you remember a time in your own life when you were not sure how things were going to turn out? Yes, okay. So some examples might be a move, a game, a test, a trip to an unfamiliar place. So anytime you ever have a competition maybe, like if you're racing against some of your friends or your siblings, you probably don't know who's going to win unless somebody is just so miraculously winning every time. But who would like to tell me a time in their own life when they weren't sure how things were going to turn out? In music? Okay. So were you not sure whether you would be continuing with music? You were going to...
Like, you didn't know if it was going to be a good day or a bad day, or... You didn't know if you was going to have a good day or a bad day in music class.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you didn't know whether you were going to have a good day or a bad day in music class. Okay, so that would be a great example of a time in your own life when you're not sure how things are going to turn out. In fact, most of our days, we're not really sure how things are going to turn out. We don't know whether it'll be a good day or a bad day, what will happen to us necessarily. So definitely we have lots of times in our own life when we're not sure how things are going to turn out. Any other ideas? It was...
When his dog escaped and they couldn't find him.
Oh, when your dog escaped and you couldn't find him. Okay, so yeah, definitely, again, whenever a pet gets away or you lose something, you're not really sure if you can find it. So, yeah, that's a great one. So here's tip number 1 for writing a personal narrative. Choose a memory about a difficulty, a conflict, or an obstacle. Does anyone want to guess what is an obstacle? Yeah, that's a good point. Think of an obstacle course. So in an obstacle course, you have to get past obstacles. So any idea what exactly an obstacle might be?
Somebody besides Tavon, what's an obstacle? Alexis was sitting next to you. Cyrus, what's an obstacle? Like a maze. Like a maze? Shania, what's an obstacle?
Challenge.
A challenge.
Challenge? Well, an obstacle is anything that blocks your way. So, for example, let's say I'm walking around in the forest, which is kind of unlikely, and this big tiger comes up, and it's like, don't go any further. Actually, at this point, I think I'd turn back anyway. But, let's just say I really, really, really want to go forward, and this big tiger is blocking me. So, this tiger would be an obstacle. Anything that's blocking you from getting to where you want to go, that would be an obstacle. So, the tiger off. An obstacle, yes, is anything that blocks you from getting to where you want to go. An obstacle is anything that gets in your way. So, for example, your sister, if you have a sister, she might be an obstacle. Let's say, if you have a really health nut sister like mine, my sister, she exercises, and she always tells me that I'm eating too much food, and yeah, she basically monitors everybody's health, and so if I am trying to get an extra slice of pizza, let's say, and I'm starting to aim for the pizza, and my sister comes up and blocks me and says, no, you've had too much pizza, my sister would be the obstacle. So who would like to tell me an obstacle that you face in your own life?
Yes, Tracy.
A dog?
A dog? Okay, so how was the dog blocking you?
Because it was blocking our path from home.
It was blocking you from getting back home. Okay, great. Who else would like to tell me an obstacle?
Okay, some different hands, guys. Different people, please. Ambria, give me an obstacle. What'd your cousin do?
Why? Why does your cousin? Why does your cousin not want you to go to the bathroom? Is the big question. But anyway, an obstacle, yes, is anything that's in your way. So whether that's your cousin blocking you from going to the bathroom, or a dog blocking you from getting back home, an obstacle is anything that gets in your way. Now, let's practice writing a description about an obstacle. What kind of obstacle do you think I should write about? Any ideas? What kind of obstacle do you think I should write about? I'm going to go into Word and write a description about an obstacle. So, how about I give you some choices? So I could either write about me trying to exercise, but let's see, what do you think would be an obstacle? If I was trying to exercise, what do you think would be an obstacle to that?
Be an obstacle for her exercising. Mars. For what? A friend not wanting her to do it?
Well,
Why wouldn't the friend want her to do it? Ivan. Okay, so a friend's keeping you from exercising because she wants to play more games.
okay, that sounds like a great obstacle. And actually, the reason that I was saying, maybe Sen blocking me from exercising is because my sister's always trying to get me to exercise, and I'm like, I come up with an excuse, which is not a good idea. But, okay, so that's a very good, maybe a friend wants me to play more games, and so I put off exercising. So let me write about that. I was supposed to, let's see, what kind of exercise do you think I should be doing? And I was supposed to do jumping jacks on Wednesday. I keep on forgetting what day it is. It's scary. I thought it was like Tuesday for a second. I was supposed to do jumping jacks on Wednesday, but then my friend tempted me to play let's see, what would be a good game? Well, okay, so hide and go seek is a great game, but my thinking is that this friend maybe wants me to do a game that doesn't involve exercise, right? So hide and go seek, you're kind of running around, you do get some exercise in hide and go seek. Monopoly, on the other hand, that's sitting around, dealing out money. That's not that much exercise. Maybe a little mental exercise. So instead of jumping in the air and running on a treadmill, I found myself in the world of real estate and fake money. The next day, the same thing happened, except with, what's another game that doesn't require that much exercise?
Checkers.
Voices and hands, please.
briefest description of an obstacle. I was supposed to do jumping jacks on Wednesday, but then my friend tempted me to play Monopoly instead. So instead of jumping in the air and running on a treadmill, I found myself in the world of real estate and fake money. The next day, the same thing happened, except with checkers. I played checkers and then tic-tac-toe. The jumping jack seemed more distant than ever. Okay, so, an obstacle, again, since it kind of gets in your way, then my friend might be my obstacle, and then also, those games might be my obstacle. So, very good job, and thanks for helping me choose that. Moving along here. A conflict often goes hand in hand with an obstacle. Sometimes these conflicts are caused by obstacles. A conflict can be a disagreement, a struggle, a challenge, or a choice. Raise your hand if you've ever, raise your hand if you have a brother or sister. I see a lot of raised hands. Raise your hand if you've ever argued with them. I don't see much change in the numbers. The likelihood is, if you have a brother or sister, you have probably argued with them. Unless your brother or sister is like a baby or something. But, actually, you might argue with a baby brother or sister too. But anyway, that would be a conflict. Anytime you argue with your brother or sister, that would be a conflict. Now, the type of conflict that arguing with your brother or sister would be is external. Any guesses on what does external mean?
Outside?
Outside, very good. External conflicts involve someone else. So, an epic game of basketball where you're playing against another team, that would be external. And that's pretty fitting with March Madness. An argument you had with a friend. Again, it involves somebody else, that friend. Winning or losing a race. Usually you're racing against other people. Racing yourself is a little weird. But that would be external. Doing something to impress someone. So there you see that outside. And surviving a power outage or storm, that's, weather. So it would be external. So external means outside, if there's someone or something else involved. But conflicts can also be internal. For example, you could write about a time you had to choose between right and wrong. So choices that you have to make, decisions, deciding whether or not to try out for a team, trying to choose which flavor of ice cream to eat, trying to overcome your fear of swimming. So one thing all of these have in common is that they're you. It's yourself that you're kind of arguing with. It's not other people, it's you. You have to make that decision, that choice, and it's the sides of your brain that are kind of arguing with each other, not somebody else. So internal conflicts are where you have to make that decision. It doesn't really involve someone else like an argument would. An internal conflict is kind of an argument with yourself. So, who would like to give me an example of an external conflict from their own life?
Vivian?
I knew somebody who which game wanna play from the person who plays manager.
Fighting with somebody over which game to play? Okay, great. So yeah, that would definitely be an external conflict. And I think most of us have had that one, fighting over which game to play. I know I have. Now, who would like to give me an internal conflict? So an internal, an inside conflict from their own life. I'm sorry?
Change to find somebody else. Internal conflict, somebody else besides the same people that keep raising their hand. Move on.
Now in the house, my brother tried to come to get in my room.
Internal, something that you have to decide and choose.
So,
Davion?
have you ever, sorry, go ahead.
If you're fighting with yourself, if you're trying to choose life alone, if someone
you have to choose between right and wrong. That's very good. That's an internal conflict. Another example, if you ever maybe went to a store and you looked at two different things and you had to just get one. Have any of you ever had that? Yes. Internal conflict. You're kind of arguing it out in your head. You're looking at these and you're thinking, which one should I choose? So anytime you have to choose between two things, or you have to make that decision, you're kind of arguing in your head. I know that sounds weird, but yeah, you're arguing with yourself. So that would be an internal conflict. Moving on, conflicts can be serious, like choosing where to live, but we also have some goofy conflicts, like choosing what kind of shoes to wear. You will face many conflicts in your own life, and you can write stories based on your own memories. So here's an activity. Choose a memory you would like to write about. Choose a memory about a conflict and write down that idea. So choose a memory about a conflict. Some of you guys told me about your own conflicts. I know that you've all argued with your brothers or sisters. You've all chosen between two things before. You may have had times where you weren't sure and you had to make a decision. So those would all be conflicts. So think of a conflict in your own life. It could be an argument, it could be a game, a competition, and write down your idea. So for instance, do you have paper with you?
Take out a piece of paper. I got a paper folder. One of the slides with friends.
So you can write it down. It can be very short. Just think of a conflict in your own life right there.
Need a conflict. All right, one down.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you'd like to share that. Keep those hands up.
Grayson, will you share yours?
When I was trapped by a dog and I didn't know which way to go.
Okay, You were looking for your dog and you didn't know which way you would go, so you had to make that decision. Do you know what kind of conflict that would be, internal or external? Internal, very good. So, who else would like to share a conflict with you?
Cyrus, next one.
I did not want to see Elmo.
What was that about seeing Elmo?
Read it again.
I did not want to see Elmo.
You did not want to see Elmo. You just decided that. So, was somebody trying to make you see Elmo?
Yes.
Okay, who was that?
My parents.
Your parents. Okay. So yeah, maybe your parents want one thing and you want something else. That would be an external conflict. Great. So I have one kind of along that line. My conflict was the time Mom wanted me to get a haircut, but I didn't. So we argued for about 2 hours, and then I ended up getting a haircut. But of course I would drag it out a little more and make it suspenseful. But yeah, that was my conflict. Let's get one more person to share their conflict.
Shania.
My brother wanted me to play pool with him, but I didn't.
You, what, I'm sorry?
He wanted me to play pool with him.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. They were saying about a play?
He wanted me to play pool with him.
Oh, someone wanted you to play pool with him. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Yeah, great. So now that we have chosen a conflict from our own life to write a narrative about, it's on to making our story interesting. So here's a tip. Include details that will help your readers understand why the conflict was tough. For example, if you are writing about having a tough time deciding what flavor of ice cream to eat, then you would want to describe each delicious flavor that tempted you. Why do you want to go to all that work? Well, by helping the reader understand how good each flavor sounded, you make sure that the reader understands why choosing between the flavors was so difficult. So you can use words that will help your readers imagine each supporting detail: silky, sticky, creamy, fresh, crunchy, delectable. About ice cream, those are what those words are for. So I'm getting kind of hungry just thinking about that. And when your reader understands how hard it is to choose between this silky, sweet, and fresh flavor and this creamy, nutty, chunky one, then it'll be a little easier to understand why you had such a hard time choosing between that ice cream. So here's an activity to try. We're going to write about deciding between our favorite flavors of ice cream and describe each flavor we are tempted by. So let's say it's a fight between chocolate and strawberry. Let's start with chocolate. Why is chocolate so great? So what do you think? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
So let's think of some descriptive words that show how great chocolate is. Any ideas?
State, number one.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome, okay. So when you have chocolate in your mouth, what does it taste like?
Creamy.
Taylor.
Tastes like chocolate.
Chocolatey, creamy, gooey. So how does it feel in your mouth? I should have asked. You have a good point. Tastes like chocolate.
Yummy.
Cold. Okay. And let's get one more descriptive word for chocolate.
Start. Start.
Dark. Okay. So now I'm going to write about, I walked into the ice cream parlor and my vision was immediately attracted. Actually, that sounds really weird. Okay. And I immediately walked over to where the chocolate ice cream was. It was dark and lovely with chunks of gooey chocolate interspersed throughout that cold, dark, awesome bucket of that taste, you know, and it's in those
Coolers.
coolers.
Like the hand.
Yeah. Okay, so that sounds a little weird, but I put that awesome cooler, but I can revise that a little. Okay. Do that awesome chocolate ice cream. Okay. I could already imagine it melting in my mouth. So, really appealing, this chocolate sounds, don't you think? Now, though, what about the competition? But then, oh wait. Oh, sorry, I need to get some descriptive words on strawberry first. What are some nice descriptive words we can use to describe strawberry?
Sweet and juicy.
Sweet, juicy. What else?
Embryo.
Sweet, juicy, yummy, pink, refreshing, delightful. What is one more word?
Morris. What? Delicious?
Okay, great. So, but then my sister said, look at the strawberry, Adora. I looked, and there was a most captivating sight. I know I'm writing kind of fancy. A cooler full of pink, delightfully pink strawberry ice cream. It looked juicy and fresh, and I could feel the sweetness on the tip of my tongue as I imagined eating it. I was sure that it would be yummy. Okay, so I'm going to leave it up to you as to whether this person chooses strawberry or chocolate, but this shows you. So you want to use these details. So for example, so some of the details we used, on the ice cream parlor, and I immediately walked into where chocolate was dark, lovely chunks of gooey chocolate interspersed with awesome. So I didn't use all the words, but we used quite a few of them. A colorful, delightfully pink strawberry ice cream, juicy and fresh and sweet and yummy. All of those words, firstly, they help our reader imagine that ice cream, taste the ice cream, see the ice cream, but they also help the reader understand why chocolate versus strawberry was so tough. Otherwise, the reader's going to look at what you write and they're like, why did you spend so much time deciding between ice cream? I mean, it's just ice cream. But when they look at this, they'll be like, oh man, that was a really tough decision. So use descriptive details to show your reader how tough a conflict is. Now, here's another thing. When you write a personal narrative, you get to share your thoughts on what happened. You might share how the experience made you feel. So, for example, after the game, I was so relieved that I felt like I was melting. If you learned something from the experience, you could end your personal narrative by describing what you learned. For example, standing at the edge of the court, I realized that maybe our coach wasn't as evil as I thought. He'd been tough on me, sure, but being mad at him had made me work harder. And as my team gave me high fives, I was reaping the benefits of that effort. So, share how it made you feel. For instance, after arguing with your brother or sister, how did that make you feel? Triumphant, victorious, sad, angry? How might arguing with your brother just make you feel? Think about that. Or how might choosing between two different ice creams make you feel? And what might you learn? So if you learn something from the experience, write down what you learned. For instance, after choosing between strawberry and chocolate, I realized the ice cream was kind of trivial and that I really didn't need to spend that much time choosing between it or something like that. So write down what you feel, what you learned afterwards. So here's some review. A narrative is a story. Stories from your own life are called personal narratives. To make your personal narrative more exciting, write about a conflict or an obstacle that blocked your path to your goal. Use descriptive words to make your conflict or obstacle more exciting. So here's kind of the steps you want to follow. Number 1, choose a conflict to write about. Number 2 would be make it interesting, use descriptive details. And this is a good one for when you're writing all kinds of stories, not just personal narrative. Use descriptive details. Number 3, write about how you felt. Oops, sorry, my handwriting's getting messy. So, feelings, and then what you learned. So, when you're writing your personal narrative, you just start off, think of a conflict from your own life. Try to remember some descriptive details from it. Right? Are you able to see me? Hello? Are you able to see me? Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay, looks like they disconnected by accident. I'm going to give them a call back, or they'll probably call me back as well. Okay, oops. Whew. I assume they'll call back. They still have about 7 minutes, so they should definitely call back. Okay, well, that's interesting. On the other hand, this gives me the chance to talk a little bit to you streamers. Hello, everybody. So I've been video conferencing with a 5th grade class and talking about personal narrative 1. So as I was showing them here, the sequence they want to follow, they think of a conflict in their own life, add descriptive details to show how tough that conflict was, write about their feelings and what they learned from the incident. So that was just kind of a basic. It's a good thing to follow, and it's definitely something that you can draw interesting writing from. And if you think about some of the conflicts that you've had in your own life, and I'm sure that a lot come to mind, then just thinking about one that you can find descriptive details and feelings and what you learn from that is a good idea. So personal narrative is always a really interesting kind of writing. And also in the future, I think I'm going to show students some examples of personal narrative that might make it a little more concrete to them. And haven't called back yet, so I'll just take this chance to show some of the technology. I do this occasionally. You might have seen this already, but right here, this is the active board. I'm also using 2 computers. One is for you streaming, and that's a Mac, and then I'm also using my PC to connect up to the board. And then if I just swivel around, then you're able to see. Oops, I think I just unplugged my computer. Oh, sorry for the noise. You're able to see this Timbre video conferencing unit, and that's what I've been using. And I am here in my studio, and I'll just plug this computer back in. Although Macs have great battery life anyways. Probably wouldn't matter too much. And if you have any questions, then you're more than welcome to ask them in the chat pop-up or in the social stream. They have not called back yet. So one moment, I'm going to see if I can